Okay, this is part two of building wealth for software engineers, and we're going to talk about how to increase your income. If we're starting at the beginning here, if you're a new grad coming out of college, the most important thing in this equation is this income part, because you don't have investments, you most likely don't have a lot of savings, and so to increase your wealth, the biggest driver is going to be the income. And so how do you actually get more money as an engineer? There's really two areas. I'm assuming you're in the United States. If so, there's sort of a split between smaller companies and larger tech companies. The larger ones tend to pay more. And there's also sort of a split between finance companies and also like tech companies. Basically, if you go into tech, big tech, that's going to be the most that you're going to get paid on a salary total compensation basis. The only caveat for that is if you're at a small company that is likely to have a successful exit, then the equity that you're getting from that company might be more than what it is if you're just working in big tech. The other thing is that you really want to be getting promoted. If you do well at your job, there's only going to be so much you can do at the first level that you're at, but you kind of unlock a lot more income the higher the levels are that you go. And the differences are quite meaningful. So, yes, big tech is a great place if you're looking for total compensation. When I got my first job after coding bootcamp, I was getting around $75,000 or $100,000 in today's money. Most first years in big tech coming out of college are getting close to $200,000, so twice as much. And it's, there's a big difference between the pay scales here in big tech versus non-tech companies. There's kind of 4 main components for total compensation. It's your base salary, which is usually pretty comparable across companies, either in tech or not. The bonuses don't tend to be very large, unlike in finance. And the restricted stock units or the stock equity that you're getting, that is actually a major component of your income. So that's sort of where a lot of people don't realize how much big tech salaries or total compensations are. It's because they don't actually see how much stock people are getting. So this is sort of the pay scale for Meta, according to Levels FYI. And if you're a new grad coming out of school, you're going to be an E3. That's the level. And then that is comprised of about $193,000 in total compensation. Most of that is going to be your base salary. So about 140, let's say, is going to be base salary. About 20-ish is going to be bonus. And then about 40 is going to be your stock component. So as you go up the levels, the next level, and depending on where you are, this promotion can happen, between a year and 2 years from being in this position. The total compensation goes up by like 50%, right? It's quite a big jump. So you can see that the salaries go up by maybe like 40,000. The bonuses are relatively unchanged, but the stock is really where the money is coming in here. And that stock number continues to grow by a lot with each level that you gain. So if you're in this mid sort of level, like E4 level, usually within about 2 years or so, you'll be promoted to E5, which is known as like a senior engineer level. that's going to be pretty much close to like 500,000, maybe 4 to 500,000, depending on what the stock component looks like. And I should note that for Meta, these stock numbers are probably higher than normal because recently the stock has gone up by a lot. So these might be a little bit inflated, which means this might be a little higher than you should expect. But generally, the idea here is that with each level, the base salaries are going up by a sort of fixed number, a linear scale. And this tends to match what the base salaries are at other companies, or is a little bit higher, but it's going to not look that different from other companies. This stock component is really where the money is. And that is kind of like almost doubling with each level that you're gaining. So that's how it's possible for someone in E6 to get close to $700,000 a year. That's how it's possible. And then this is also the first level for managers. And so when you get one more, when you're at E7, this is quite rare, I guess, for engineers to get to, but not that uncommon for managers to get to. And we're talking about more than $1 million a year. So the levels, the kind of structure for compensation is very well incentivized for someone who's trying really hard, working really hard, getting good results. You can move through these levels and your compensation is going to reflect sort of how you're contributing to the company. Now, obviously, like the work in these upper levels gets to be quite a bit more, and there's a reason why you're getting paid so much. That's another story. I should say that these numbers are all for the US, and even if you look at other markets like the UK, they're going to be paid not nearly as much as this. I would say maybe a third less than this if you're working for the same tech companies. And probably if you're not working for the big ones, then probably even less than that. And that's just because the US pays more than other places. There's also more kind of mature tech companies here, and they are competing for the same people. And so the compensation tends to be higher. Next, we're going to talk about taxes and how they work and how to minimize your taxes.